Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of Unpopular Opinion. I'm your host, Miki Gatt, joined alongside my weekly panelists of Kyle Pucci and Ayush. No guest today, just the weekly panelists, which make it a little bit more of an OG show. All right, so let's start off the day talking a little bit of NFL news. Mr. J.J. Watt, former defensive end of the Houston Texans, because he was released mutually with the from the McNair family. And he signed with the Arizona Cardinals after signaling that he was down to his finalist teams, and it came out of kind of right base. I mean, it came out of nowhere that he was going to sign with Arizona. People were thinking Bills, Steelers, Packers, Browns, and he comes and signs with the Cardinals. So my question is, does this put the Cardinals over the top as one of the better teams in the NFL? What does J.J. Watt going to Arizona do for Arizona? Let's start with Ayush.
Makes their defense a lot better. I mean, J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones on opposite sides is going to be a nightmare for offensive lines. I don't think they're a contender, though. I don't think Kyler Murray is going to be that guy that takes you to a Super Bowl. He's who runs the ball a little bit too much, even when he can pass it sometimes, and I don't think he'll be the guy to lead Arizona to a Super Bowl.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think it at least puts them in the playoffs. I mean, am I ready to say they're like an instant contender, as I like to say? Probably not, but I think probably they're an 11-5 team now. I mean,
really?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the Cardinals are an up-and-coming team, young coach, young quarterback. I think he's going to improve. It was his only second year in the league, and I think he's going to get better. It's just whatever Watt has left in the tank, I think he can really push these guys forward and hopefully, you never know, maybe surprise a playoff opponent or two. You never know. I think they're definitely a good story.
If Patrick Peterson resigns, they're probably going to be carried by their defense. If their defense can play well, they might win a playoff game or two.
I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is also the top 3 receiver in football. So
Thank you, Mika.
What?
Thank you.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that I think they're going to be really good. I just think they play in the hardest division in all of sports, not just football, all of sports, especially this year. So I don't know. A fully healthy Niners team is scary. That's for sure. We saw what they could do.
If they have Jimmy G, they're not going to win.
If they have Jimmy G,
yeah, if they have Garoppolo, but if they can get somebody like even a Kirk Cousins, possibly.
Their running game's not going to be as good because Staley's not there. They lost Mostert, right? Breeda's gone.
Mostert's still there.
Or no, they lost Breida, and then
Breida wasn't. It was Mostert and Tevin Coleman, and Jerick McKinnon was injured.
No, because Breida played a bigger role than McKinnon that year.
Well, the point is that that team does not rely on their offense. That team's offense goes through George Kittle. That team relies on its defense. And let's be honest, the Cardinals have a great defense, but they're not as good as the Niners defense or the Rams defense. They're the third best defense in the NFC West.
You know how I feel about the Rams as we were fighting back and forth about 5 weeks ago on this, but first of all, the Seahawks will not make the playoffs next year. Mark my words. They are
even with Wilson.
They're the worst team in that division now. Yes.
Yeah, even with Wilson. Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with
now
that.
He's not even that happy. And as soon as Wilson doesn't play as well it's the only reason their team is relevant. And I think next year he's going to take a step back and then they're not going to be good. I mean, the 49ers could be really good, but it's just, I don't know. I just don't trust Garoppolo. You guys know how I feel about the Rams. And I think the Cardinals, there will be 3 playoff teams from that division. I think you guys can agree.
I agree. No, I agree with that. I just don't think the Cardinals are ready to win that division.
I think Seattle will make the playoffs, but I don't think any team is going to be a serious threat to they're not going to be a Super Bowl team from that division.
There's not going to be any team from the NFC West that makes the Super Bowl.
I highly doubt it.
So who do you have as your Super Bowl threats from the NFC?
It's going to be, I'm going to say Packers and Bucks again for those top teams.
Hey, maybe as long as, because free agency starts in 2 weeks, a week and a half. So hopefully they get some. That's when they need to re-sign a lot of their pieces. That's really important for them.
I
All
think
right.
Donovan will stay with the Bucks, so I think the Bucks will be fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that they just want a ring, and why not go for another one? All right, let's move on to the next question, a little bit more NBA. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics, who me and Ayush are proudly representing. I mean, before the All-Star break, they went on to a pretty good two-game skid. They beat I mean, they had some games before that too. Kemba's been playing a little better. They beat the Clippers at home, no Kawhi, so I wouldn't count that as a full victory. And then they went and they beat the Raptors. So the question is this really Lux Gold as like a Celtic leprechaun, like because it's the Celtic leprechaun, like the pot of gold, or is the luck gonna run out for the Boston Celtics? Kyle, let's start with you.
Well, I mean, I've seen this movie about 1,000,000,000,000 times when they don't play well and then they go on one little win streak, and it's just so Celtics fans to just automatically assume at their back this team is still not a threat. It's fool's gold, and they're not a serious. Like, I can't take them seriously yet, and I think they're getting. I get the Kawhi or the Clipper. I know they won a good game against the Clippers, but I just think they're getting way too much credit for that win as Kawhi missed it right before, and I'm not ready to say that they're back yet, and because we've seen this just so many times where they go on these win streaks and then things get bad and then they go south and it doesn't get better.
Well, let me ask you a follow-up on that, Kyle. How important is it for the Celtics to make a trade at the trade deadline for you to have faith in them?
Oh my God! I think this team they 100% need a trade. Let's just start off with that.
That's why I'm saying, how important is it?
It's
how far could it take them?
They don't have any. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to beat Brooklyn. They just signed Blake Griffin. Not saying he's Blake Griffin from 7 years ago, but But if they're at least going to give themselves a shot, like, they need a trade, or else they have no shot at all. Like, they're probably at best right now. They're probably the fourth best team in the conference at this moment.
Right above the Knicks.
Yeah.
Ayush, what do you think? What do you think about the Celtics?
I agree with Kyle. I mean, we saw this with Kyrie. We got an 8-game win streak in the middle of towards the end of the season. Everyone thought it was going to be well, and then as soon as things went south, we just imploded and lost and played horrible. Marcus Smart will come back, but I don't think that's going to change much. I don't know why Rob Williams is still coming off the bench. He's much better than Thompson or Tice. And yeah, I agree with Kyle. If we don't make a trade, we're not going to be able to compete for the Eastern Conference Championship.
All right, so I mean, the trade deadline's coming up really soon. It's this month, so hopefully Celtics do something so we can talk a little bit more about the Celtics on the show. But at the moment, I mean, we're enjoying the All-Star game, enjoying the All-Star break, so there's not too much about the Celtics. The big thing that happened over this All-Star break is, like Kyle just briefly mentioned, Blake Griffin went over to the Brooklyn Nets to join forces with Kevin Durant, join forces with Kyrie Irving, join forces with James Harden, and join forces with DeAndre Hopkins and my boy Joe Harris.
DeAndre Jordan.
Oh, DeAndre Jordan. Oh man. DeAndre Hopkins plays football. Yeah, I was gonna say, Kyle, you give me a blech moment.
Yeah.
All right. So my question is, how good are these Nets? Just because of how James Harden has been putting on a show in recent months. What's the ceiling for this team? Let's start with Ayush.
Oh, the ceiling is very high. I believe Harden was the first player in NBA history to put up 30, 14, and 14 with no turnovers, which is just insane to be touching the ball that much and not turn the ball over. I mean, Kyrie's not being toxic so far, which is very surprising. Him and Harden are meshing well. Durant. I mean, he's never really been that much of a problem. He's been the top 2 player in the league for a while. That ceiling is very high. Blake Griffin's not in his prime, but he's better than any power forward they have right now. DeAndre Jordan will be back with Blake Griffin, so maybe there's some chemistry there. But that ceiling is very high. They're going to be very tough to beat.
Yeah, I heard that actually Blake Griffin was going to be coming off the bench for the Nets. He's not going to be a starter. They want Joe Harris to be the starter instead of Blake Griffin.
He's one
Kyle,
of the
what do you
best
think?
players in the league.
Yeah, well.
I mean, I don't really think it's too big of a deal, but does it help them? Yeah, it does. I mean, I can't deny that. I mean, if you say that he's coming off the bench, you put him with just literally as like a second scorer. Like, I mean, I can't really blame him too much for not playing well in Detroit. I mean, that team is horrible. And
Jeremy Grant's not too bad, and of course Plumlee's just playing out of
Also
his mind.
Detroit though, like who wants to be in Detroit?
here's what
See, that I agree with.
every team has one good player. And Blake, it's just I'm not giving him any like blame for not playing well in Detroit. It's so unmotivating. It's just not like now that he's actually on a real team with real superstars, like he will actually look motivated and help them. And I mean, does he put them over the top of? I mean, they already were at the top in my eyes, and I just think it's more insurance, and I don't think anybody is gonna beat them. Yeah, just for you LeBron haters out there or lovers, LeBron doesn't have a shot of beating this team. No one does.
The only thing that can beat this team is the Nets themselves. I mean, talent-wise, they're by far the best team in the league.
They're winning the championship, and it's not even like they will win it easily too.
I just thought of a question on the fly. Let me ask you a better question. What team was better, the 2017 Warriors or the 2021 Nets?
Brooklyn.
Warriors.
Brooklyn.
All right, so let's debate because Ayush says one, Kyle says the other. Now let me just bring up the lineups for the people at home that don't know. So the Warriors in 2017, Curry, Thompson, KD, Draymond Green, and then the center, I think it was JaVale McGee.
It was like Jordan Bell or something.
No, I think it was
JaVale. Iguodala at the 3, and
then Iguodala off the bench. And then and then you get these Nets with Harden, Kyrie, KD, Joe Harris, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin coming off the bench. Which team is better and why? Kyle's first. Kyle, go ahead.
It's Brooklyn. I mean, like before you come at me with records and stuff, like this team together right now is like has some crazy win percentage. Also, like we have even though KD was on both of these teams, we have never seen a big three with this much offensive power. And yeah, that even includes Curry, Clay, and KD. Harden, arguably, like even when he was in Houston, Harden was in conversations for the best scorer ever, like all around. Like Ayush, I've been hearing you tell me that a million years. Like
I believe he's a top 5 scorer of all time.
Like Kyrie Irving is just, I hate the guy so much, but I've never seen a guy make it look so easy with the basketball. And he is very fun to watch. I can't deny it. And KD is KD. We don't need to go anywhere on that.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest with you, Blake or Draymond, I'd probably take Draymond, but DeAndre Jordan is even as washed of a sponge as he is, still beats any Warrior center that was on that team. And I think we've never seen an offense like this. They are shattering offensive records right now, and I believe Harden should have something to say in the MVP race, as crazy as that sounds.
All right, but what about Iguodala versus Joe Harris?
Well, like Iguodala gives them the championship aspect, but like, I mean,
Joe Harris is one of the top 3-point shooters in the league.
Yeah, I mean, if Harris gets hot, it's like
I just think if you compare Harris, you can compare directly to Klay Thompson.
Come on.
No, I'm not saying they're the same level. I'm just saying they shoot. They're both known as a 3-point shooter.
That doesn't mean you can compare them.
No, it does mean you can compare. Ayush, what do you think? Which team was better, the Warriors?
I mean, this team has amazing offensive firepower. I mean, Kyrie literally has the ball in a string sometimes. I mean, things he can do is. I mean, I don't think there's anyone else in the world that can do it. Harden is I still think one of the best scorers of all time. A very underrated playmaker. Kevin Durant was there.
Passing the ball right now is like something I never knew that he had in him. I really didn't know.
I've been saying for
the past, like Harden should have had 2 straight MVPs in Houston. He got robbed.
I don't think so. I think Giannis deserved it.
And then, but I mean, Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. I mean, he just won a 3-point contest, which I mean, like Klay Thompson was there too. The Splash Brothers were, I mean, probably one of the best backcourts in league history. And I mean, they were honestly unguardable because their ball movement, the way their system was, like no one needed the ball in their hands. Like Draymond could be a point guard, then Iguodala could bring the ball up. Like they had 5 guys that could play point guard. And
but
Klay Thompson and Steph Curry when they're hot. What?
I have a question.
Oh.
Kyle, you have a question. Go ask question.
Is Kyrie and Harden not one of the greatest backcourts ever?
I'm not. I mean, they haven't won anything yet.
I agree. It's too early to judge. I do agree with that.
I mean,
They're gonna win it this year, so like.
Well, Kyle, do you know what those Lakers fans would do for you if LeBron somehow pulls an upset from the finals?
Yeah, funny.
I mean, remember, LeBron was competitive. They should have won game 1 against those 2017 Warriors when LeBron was on the Cavs. If it wasn't for George Hill missing that free throw and the whole J.R. Smith thing, you were never
it doesn't
J.R.
come down to one free throw.
Okay,
I'm just telling you, if the team goes up 1-0 against
overtime, they still had overtime to win that game. Like they could have done something.
LeBron was playing like every single minute of the game. He was a little tired, don't you think?
According to Ben Teach and Chittick, he's Iron Man. He doesn't get tired.
I'm not Ben Teach or Chittick.
I don't know. Like according to them, he doesn't get tired. He's inhuman. So I don't want to hear the tired excuses.
I'm just saying that I think that if the Nets go and sweep whoever they're playing in the finals, I just don't think it's possible because they're a great offensive team. They just don't play defense. They're going to put up like 140 points per game. They just don't.
I think when the playoffs come around, you're going to see Harden actually trying on defense. He has some of the best hands in the league defensively.
I was in your same boat with this team. Trust me, but like now that I watch these guys play, it's like. They don't have to be a good defensive team to win. They literally have to be average. Average defense is good enough for them because they're going to score however they want to, whenever they want to. You can't possibly guard this team. It's literally not possible. Like,
the only way you're gonna beat this team is if you can like get away with some fouls. Like you're gonna have to be tougher than them. You're gonna have to like rough them up a little bit. But like with today's rules, I mean, it's almost impossible to do that.
Seriously, I didn't think James Harden had this in him. Like, I didn't think
I've been telling you this for a couple of years now.
I didn't think he could be a second star and like distribute the ball. Yeah. Like, seriously, James Harden also should be in the conversation for the greatest second star ever. I really believe that.
Think about it. When he was coming over to Brooklyn, people didn't think that he was going to fit into the system. And now in Brooklyn, he is the system.
Yeah, I was one of those people. Like, I didn't believe this team would work. And I was just so... Yeah, the blind continues from tons
of... Well, then do you think that this is the most talented team that basketball's ever had?
No.
You think it's the 96, 97 Bulls?
Talent-wise, I think that's the best team ever. Talent-wise, I mean, other than MJ. I mean,
so here's our final debate question of the day. What team was more talented, this year's Nets or 1996, 97 Bulls?
Well, this team, I think, takes it easily. I mean, the Bulls had Rob.
I mean, which team was better? You can say which team was better.
No, the Bulls team I think would be better just because of Michael Jordan.
Talented is different than better. Like
okay, because I mean, again, this team's unproven.
I would just take the Bulls just because of Michael Jordan. Like
if you're going purely based off talent, it could be the Nets, honestly, because KD.
So who wins in a 7-game series?
Oh, okay. I would take the Bulls in a 7-game series, but
I think the Bulls in a 7-game series. But if you're going purely based off just talent, it's probably Brooklyn. Like Kyrie's the greatest handler ever. Like we already know what Harden is. We know what KD is. Like we've never seen a 7-foot guy like move and shoot the way he does. It's like it's crazy.
The only team I can even compare maybe was the 04 Lakers with Gary Payton, Karl Malone, Shaq, and Kobe. But they lost.
Gary Payton and Karl Malone pretty much had walking canes. They were not basketball.
They were still decent players. They weren't that washed.
And you calling DeAndre Jordan washed? Yeah, I don't think he wants to do that.
Those are two all-time greats. Like washed like Karl Malone.
How did Paul Pierce play like the last year of his career?
Dude, he was like 41. This is
okay. You're just saying that all-time greats have to play well all the time. I'm saying that when you get old,
they weren't that washed with the Lakers. They were starters for that team.
I'm just saying that once we'll see how the Nets start playing because the playoffs are. I mean, they're coming up in a couple months. But I think that if the Nets get on a roll, I mean, there's no team in the East that can beat them. And then, but can we agree with this? Can we agree? Say it right here. So I remember this on this right here for both of you. If LeBron James and Anthony Davis beat the Nets, LeBron's the GOAT.
No.
Really?
Not a shot. No
way.
Really?
Not at all.
No
if he beats Kawhi in the conference finals and then beats these Nets, he's not the GOAT.
There's no guarantee Kawhi even gets there after last year.
How are you going to beat the Nets? You're not even going to beat the Clippers.
See, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying hypothetically, Kyle. Would that
They're
make
not
LeBron?
getting out of the West this year. I promise you, they're not
Really?
getting out of the West.
Can you imagine how much chirping you would get if LeBron gets back-to-backs after beating the Nets?
I
Yeah,
still hope the
probably
Celtics
leave
get-
Earth if he gets back-to-backs, to be honest.
You leave
I mean,
her.
And I'll bring Ayush with me in a couple.
Okay, no, let's not do that.
But
Let's not do that. I'm just saying that it's going to be interesting. I don't think LeBron has it in him, but you never know. He might prove us wrong.
I mean, like if LeBron wins another championship this year, I'm probably blocking every single LeBron fan on my social media because I'm
Really,
just
it's that bad.
You know what? I'm not even going to think about it because it's not going to happen. They're not getting out of the West, and even if they do, they are going to get smoked by.
Okay, well let me.
LeBron wins this year. I'll give him second greatest all time.
All right, so let me throw one last thing in. Let's talk about the 3 trade acquisitions that the Lakers are currently engaging in talks with for players to get. I don't know if you guys have heard this. I'll pull it up just to be sure, but I know the first one. First one is JJ Redick, who's made the playoffs every year of his NBA career until he went over to the Pelicans. And he's definitely
it's not good. He's shooting like 30%.
Yeah, his 3-point percentage is way down.
All right, the second target is DeMarcus Cousins. Hasn't really been playing too well and a little bit washed up. And then between Hassan Whiteside and Andre Drummond.
They don't really need either of those guys.
I mean, if they get him, they can put they can really play Anthony Davis at his power forward position and then just use him from there. I think
Drummond, I'd definitely be pissed off, but like Whiteside or Cousins, I mean, like I thought Cousins was gonna have a big bounce back year this year, but he hasn't really been. He's clearly just not the same guy with all those injuries he's had.
Houston's season this year was about James Harden leaving, period. That was all it was about.
True, but even when they gave him a chance, he's clearly just not. I mean, I've watched a couple of his games. He's just not the same guy. It's like,
yeah. No, he is a little. He hasn't been the same since he left the Pelicans with Anthony Davis. So maybe if he comes back and actually plays with them, you never know.
I don't really believe that those guys would help them that much. But if you did have Drummond though, and then you could put who's a like solidified rebounder, and then you put AD at the 4. I mean,
exactly,
you're
does help a lot because Marcus Gasol as your starting center is not gonna. He's not that great.
And Montrezl Harrell should be the starter, not coming off the bench.
He's a 6th man.
Yeah,
but Schroeder should be coming off the bench too.
I just think JJ, like an actual 3-point shooter that can shoot in the clutch, is exactly what LeBron James needs.
I believe the Clippers are going to get them this year. I really do. Ibaka was a very slept-on pickup in the offseason, and guess what? This is the year where Paul George is finally going to do something in the playoffs. And
Kyle, you really hope so.
The Jazz are on. They're on a mission this year.
They're on a mission, but LeBron wouldn't even pick him for his All-Star team.
I don't trust the Jazz. I mean, like we've seen this so many times where they're really good
season.
They just
level of play from them. Clarkson's healthy. They didn't have Bogdanovich last year in the playoffs, or they didn't have Clarkson either. I mean, this is they can stay healthy. They have a real shot. I mean, they just beat the Lakers by 30. I mean, Anthony Davis didn't play, but still, they won by 30. Yeah,
well, LeBron doesn't usually play too well when Anthony Davis isn't there.
That was a great game. Special shout out, Shiddick, when you said they were going to come back in that game. Wake up the next day, 114-85. That was fantastic.
LeBron's definitely out of the MVP conversation right now. I mean,
he's actually right now 3rd in the MVP conversation.
The fact that LeBron is in the race is just flat out criminal. It's so stupid.
Not only is he in the race, he was the All-Star captain. He's right now the 3rd player.
Who cares about an All-Star captain?
Who cares about All-Star captain? It's all reputation. It's so laughable. He shouldn't be in the race. It's ridiculous.
Jokic, Embiid, and Dame should be the 3 people in the race right now. And Curry,
Dame over Curry.
Dame over Curry.
Hot take: Giannis Antetokounmpo should be mentioned in MVP races before LeBron James.
Before LeBron?
Yes.
Yeah, he should. He means more to his team.
He does.
Period.
His numbers are insane. They're better than LeBron's. LeBron does not. It's like it legit bothers me. It's just so dumb that he's in the race. There's absolutely no reason why he should be in the MVP race.
Well, then, Kyle, do you think Luka Doncic should be?
No. No.
Well, why not?
He's not even in the playoffs. No way.
I mean, so wasn't Curry, and he has more points. I mean, except for Bradley Beal than anyone else.
That's why Curry is not in my top 3. Like, you don't deserve to be in if you're not in the Luka is all fool's gold, dude. All he does is puts up these stupid numbers and just doesn't win anything.
I don't know why Dame's not getting talked about more for the MVP conversation. I mean, he's only like 3 games behind the Sixers right now. McCollum hasn't played since like the 3rd or 4th week of the season. Nurkic has been out for a while. I mean, their second best player right now might be Robert Covington. And they're,
It's Carmelo Anthony. It's Carmelo Anthony.
I mean, still a while. Like he's 38 or something. I mean, the fact that they're even in the like ahead of teams like the Mavericks, the Warriors, is just like that's all Dame. I mean,
my MVP is Jokic. I mean,
it's Embiid, Kyle.
It should be Jokic. Are you kidding me?
It's Embiid.
The only reason that team is I get Embiid as the front runner because of his record, but he's got to. But just look at the team around. He's such a better team around him. The only reason Denver is even relevant is because of Jokic. I
wouldn't call him really relevant.
Jamal Murray's not all that. I mean, he has one good game here and there, then he puts up average numbers for the rest of the season.
Jamal Murray is only relevant because Jokic gets him involved. He is not a good player if he doesn't have him. It's true.
Murray turns the ball over too much. He's not that good of a playmaker. He's an okay scorer, but like that's it.
Yeah, well, we're still remember it's only the middle of the season. We are far, far away from figuring out who's going to win MVP and all that stuff. So thank you guys at home for tuning in to this little shorter show of Unpopular Opinion. As always, remember, they're not going to put it up here, but remember to email info@dsctv.com for any topics or any jerseys. We don't have any jerseys here, but if you want to have us put some jerseys in the back, as always, we will be back here next week for another episode of Unpopular Opinion. Thank you guys for tuning in and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you, everybody.